Okay, so this morning here I'm changing the fuel filter on my Yamaha side-by-side. It's in a lot of my videos because I drive it around doing all my ranch work. Bad thing is the other day I was going to irrigate and it pretty well died on me, so I think the problem with it is the fuel filter, which is down in here. I already have the seat out, but this is how you change fuel filter on a Yamaha Rhino. It's a 2006. I'm going to move the camera in a little closer here. See if we can actually show what I'm doing here. So there is the dirty fuel filter. We'll get that out of there and get the new one in there. Here's the new fuel filter. Basically the same thing. It came from O'Reilly Auto Parts. Came in a package like that. Universal 5/16 or 1/4 inch. You can see it's got two different options here. You could cut these off, but why bother? Just got a little clamp here to hold it tight to the hose. I'm going to use our high-tech pliers and high-tech screwdriver here just to slide this off of there. If you were smart, you would wear eye protection and gloves while you're doing this. These hoses have been on here a long time. You got to do a lot more wiggling to get it out of here. These hoses I've replaced within the last couple years. This filter here is fairly dirty. You can see a lot of dirt in it. And just a lot of fine particles. So I'm hoping changing this fixes my problem. The problem I was having with the side-by-side is I was going about 25 miles an hour and basically it just quit on me. See here if you can see the filter here, if it'll focus. Come on, you can do it. There we go. So I prefer the clear filters. One of the reasons I prefer the clear filters is I bought one a few years ago that was not clear, and it had a hole in it from the factory, which caused all kinds of problems for this Yamaha Rhino. Okay, that one slid in. That one is slid in. We'll pop these. Let's see. Can you even see what? Oh, yeah, we're still where we can see. All right, good. Pop these clips back on. Okay, we'll see if we can see the dirty filter on the screen here. But there we go. So you can see all the little pieces of dirt in there. Okay. Alright, there we go. So, problems I was having with this thing was it was surging and then just sputtering out and dying. And then if I let it sit a while, it'd start back up and drive as long as I didn't go too fast. And I drove it the next day and it did reasonably well. So basically the dirt was floating in and out of the fuel filter, I think, and just basically clogging it up. And then after it would sit a while, some of the dirt would float back out and it would let enough fuel through to run. So I think that's the problem. Seems fairly typical, an issue for a fuel filter. Okay, we don't have any fuel in the filter right now, so we're going to try just starting it and hope for the best. If not, we'll have to prime the fuel filter. Prime the fuel, see if it goes. Okay, and lucky enough for me, I don't know if the camera showed the fuel coming into the filter there or not, but fortunately it didn't lose prime to the tank and it just sucked it all back in on its own. So what I generally do, if it has lost prime, which these Yamaha Rhinos are known for, and they're known for having problems with this pump here. These are a vacuum pump. Right here is the vacuum line coming from the engine that makes it work. Nope, actually that's not. That is a vent. Never mind. The vacuum line is back here coming off the engine going into the pump. Fuel line comes up. Fuel line comes back out on this side and goes to the carburetor over here. And you can see I have replaced the screws holding this in place with a trusty little wire. Reason for that is when I had that bad fuel filter a couple years ago, I was taking this filter out about every other day, cleaning, or this pump out about every other day and cleaning it out and putting it back. So it's been working pretty well. I could probably go back to the bolts holding it in place and I would have one less rattle on the machine. But the way that I have found, probably not the safest way to do it, but the way I have found to get this thing primed, I'm going to go ahead and move the camera here. It's probably going to get a little shaky, but I'm going to go ahead and take it off the tripod here so we can see. I know this is a common problem for these Yamaha Rhinos. So if you get stranded and your pump won't work, you can reprime it in the field. It is not easy. If you look at the fuel pump there, coming out of it right here, we've got a T. This is your return line to your fuel tank. Currently it is in front of this cross member here. It's supposed to go behind it. I will reroute it there in a minute. And I just had this off the other day to help get it going when the fuel filter was clogging up. So it probably come right off of there, okay? So you can see this is the one that goes to return to the tank. If you do not have any fuel to your fuel filter or your fuel pump, you can prime this in the field. Not the safest way to do it, but you can blow on this hose right here going into the tank. There's two hoses here. One is the suction. This is your suction hose. The big one's the suction, the small one's the return. You can see I've got an extra little deal flapping there, but so if you blow on this hose from this T on your return to the tank, if you blow into that with quite a bit of lung pressure with your fuel cap on, it will pressurize the tank and force fuel to come out of the tank, up this to your fuel filter and into your pump. You know you have it primed when this return T-fitting here starts spitting fuel out. Then you shut the engine off and hook this back into there and take off driving, hopefully. So if you have to prime your Yamaha Rhino with the vacuum fuel pump in the field, that's how you do it. You have to do it while, you have to blow on it while you're cranking the engine over, because that's what creates the vacuum that powers this vacuum pump. So you have to blow on this hose with your mouth while you're cranking the engine over, and that will run the pump and pressurize the tank to get the fuel back through your fuel filter into your pump and back to your carburetor, which is under here. So not the safest thing to do, because you do have fuel spitting around. You are putting your mouth on fuel hose, but if you're in an emergency situation and you can't get it going, safer way to do it is use an air compressor. But if you're out in the middle of nowhere, you generally don't have one of those with you. So that is a way to get your Yamaha Rhino going. How to change the fuel filter. You can see in here it's all nice and clean now. If I get the camera pointed at the right place, there we go. And I'll go test it at over 25 miles an hour and see if it's fixed my problem. And of course, this is on the passenger side. Here's your fuel tank, here's your fuel fill. Seat goes right here. These tools did not come standard with the machine. I carry them around or keep them with it. You can see these pliers live in here. They're kind of rusty. Seat just slides into here. The clip to unclip it's right there. Alright. Okay, it's a couple hours later, giving a report back on the fuel filter change. It did solve the hesitation problem I was having. I did some spirited test driving and I was able to easily drive up to 38 miles an hour, which is about how fast this thing goes, with no issues whatsoever. So the semi-clogged fuel filter was the problem for my hesitation and dying in this case. So hope that helps you if you're having the same problem.